I made that artwork for the nice people. I made art for you guys. I feel weird following up a story about losing my virginity with a story about my mom. Right there. The episode of the t-shirt. This is actually a story about the time that my mom tried to get me killed. Which isn't taboo, but is not very nice. When I was about 11, I was growing up in Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
Yeah! You're from D.C.?
Maryland.
Yay! And my mom had a job that required her to travel all over the country and to these conventions. And so after a few days or a week or two, she would come back with bags full of free convention crap for my dad and I as presents to assuage her guilt. Now, she worked for a science company, and so the bags would be full of, like, slide rules and pocket protectors, which might not have been cool, except I wore those with pride because it showed how much that she loved me. It was beautiful. One time, she went to a convention in New Orleans and hadn't been able to get any free convention crap, so she purchased 2 presents for me. You guys, I still remember tearing into that bag. There were 2 presents. One was a trucker cap. It was blue with a mesh back, and it had a picture of a house on it, and out of the door of the house, there was peeking like this little woman's leg, like that, and it was emblazoned with the words Bourbon Street, where the customer always comes first. I loved it. I mean, I thought the design was amazing, and I thought it was an incredible tribute to customer service. I did not understand the look my father gave my mother. He didn't let me wear it to school the next day. Now, if I was excited about the hat, I was beyond exhilarated about the t-shirt. This was the second present. Tore into it. It was a gray t-shirt, was the background, and on it was a picture of a cute little raccoon. Yeah. Yeah, raccoons they're scary. So it's a raccoon and was holding a beer, and above it were the words "coon-ass beard." From the E on the beer, it was really tiny. You could barely see it. Was a little noose.
What?
Wow. Right? The shirt was a little bit big, but that was fine because it made it easier to display the cool design. I mean, it had a raccoon, it had a beer, it had the word ass. It was amazing.
Wow.
You guys, I was pleased. My mom was pleased that I was pleased. I had never seen her laugh so big, or smile so wide. So, of course, I tried it on. I don't think I took it off that night. And the next day, I set off for school wearing my brand new t-shirt. Now, getting to school in D.C., this is going no place good. It involved a cross-city journey on D.C. subway system. I started in Northeast D.C., in a neighborhood adjacent to all the crack houses and gang violence that earned the city the title of murder capital of the world when I was growing up. And I ended up it's like 5 miles, but way over in Northwest, which was home to Supreme Court justices, lobbyists, congresspeople, people like that. Now, by the time I was 11, I'd been making this trip alone for about 3 years. And so you get to know the people on the train. There were the government bureaucrats who had their eyes glazed over, and they were dreading another day under the harsh fluorescent lights of bureaucracy. And then there were my favorite. They were the church ladies. These were older African-American women, sometimes in fantastic hats, with their Watchtower magazines. And they were poring over their Bibles, sometimes underlining resonant passages, or making the occasional affirmational or amen. They liked me. We said hi to each other every morning. I thought they saw in me hope for the future. So it was that I set off for school wearing my shiny new t-shirt from the exotic land of New Orleans. The second that I stepped onto that train, I felt that something was different. I nodded hello to everybody. I smiled at the church ladies, and they just stared at me. One woman actually took her glasses off. She rubbed her eyes, and then she put her glasses back on. And I heard the murmuring, "Lordy, lordy, what is that boy thinking? Somebody should tan his hide." I got a little self-conscious. I mean, I knew that they were probably a little bit conservative, my friends on the train, but it was just a raccoon. It was just beer. It was just the word ass. It wasn't a big deal. I didn't get it. But I got a little bit embarrassed. I held my backpack in front of me to protect my shiny new shirt from prying eyes and criticism. It all kept going, the murmurs and the stares, until I got off the train. And I made it to school. I got to school just as the bell for first period was ringing. I slid into class. It was English class taught by Mr. Gage. He was about 6 feet tall, about 60 years old, big glasses, gray hair, and had this habit of yelling out, check and kicking things when he got excited about something someone said. So slid into class, and we had just started reading this book, maybe you've read it, called Sounder.
Oh, God.
So Sounder is the story of a dog who belongs to a family of black sharecroppers living in the South in the early 20th century. And it's the dog is the boy of the family's best friend. Now, Sounder, he's not just any dog. He's a coon hunting dog. So, I saw great significance in the fact that I was wearing a shirt featuring a coon on the very day that we're reading a book about a coon hunting dog. I even went so far as to think that one day I might be a great literary figure like the author of Sounder. You guys, Mr. Gage thought so. I could tell because he kept looking at me with his eyes full of hidden meaning. If you would call me in front of the class and say, Michael, I like it. This, ladies and gentlemen, this is a t-shirt. Good job, Michael. He would check and kick, and everybody would clap. Right in the middle of this fantasy, Rebecca, this curly-haired angel on whom I had this absurd crush, raised her hand. Mr. Gage, why did the man in the book keep calling that boy a coon? Well, said Mr. Gage, looking straight at me, coon was a really bad word for black people in the South. I felt heat rising. I stared at Mr. Gage. I looked at Rebecca. I looked at my shirt. And then, blurting out something about a bathroom, I just rocketed out of the room. I didn't know where the hell to go, so I actually went to the bathroom. And I splashed water on my face. And then I looked in the mirror. And staring back at me was an 11-year-old wearing an oversized t-shirt, merrily depicting a thinly veiled reference to lynching. The raccoon on the shirt winked at me and threw up. So with new understanding sinking into the pit of my stomach, I went to my locker, I tore the shirt off, and I put on a smelly gym shirt. And I made it through the rest of the day without incident. And when I got home that night, my mom, she asked me the question I knew she would. Where's your new shirt? 1,000 questions went through my mind. Did you know what that shirt meant? Were you trying to get me killed? Do you even like me? I didn't ask any of those. Instead, I said, oh, it got dirty. I took it off. And then I went upstairs and played Dungeons and Dragons alone in my room, which is probably the saddest part of the story. So, you guys, I've had 20-something years to ponder the episode of the t-shirt. My mom's not a dumb woman. She knew what it meant. She was super active in the civil rights movement in the 60s. I mean, she marched on Alabama. She marched on Washington. She actually even went on a Caribbean vacation with several prominent civil rights leaders. She must have known. So what was she thinking? I don't know. But I do know that after that day, my friends on the train, my partners in transit, they looked at me a little bit differently. Their eyes a little wider. Their Watchtower magazines clutched a little bit closer to their chests. And eventually I started reading books or doing homework just to evade the residual glances and murmurs that may have only been in my mind. So the good news is that her effort to get me killed didn't succeed. It battered my spirit a little, but she actually tried again a few years later. She went to New Mexico and sent me out of the house looking like this. This is a New Mexican bolo tie. You don't want to do that to people. So, I wasn't going to do this, but I am. There's a flip cam. Can I see this for a sec? My mom's in town. She is. I almost invited her, but that'd be a poor choice. But I'm having dinner with her tomorrow. Mom, I have new friends, and they have a question they want to ask you. On the count of 3, can you all ask, Mom, why did you do it? All right, ready? 1, 2, 3.